just because he isn't too fantastic in terms of controlling people. He's got a mini stun, and that's it. So
I'm
he's
actually gonna have to disagree on that. I mean, it's great for picking people off, and it's especially good for coming in second in team fight, pulling off your ultimate in the middle of 5 people. You have your lightning rod proc on all five. It's 11% of all their health, and it's a very good passive if you can get it on all five at the same time, and that's where I think Portal Cube, comes in for Thunderbringer, and you can't really fault him for that.
Well, to be honest, I think the big value for Portal Key and Thunderbringer, it's not actually using it for initiation, like you said. It's using it essentially as a tool of positioning. Thunderbringer is a really positioning reliant hero. He has no CC of his own, so you have to try and get people, catch them out position them to get all your nukes off to the greatest effect. And Portal Key does help him with that, I guess. So it's not bad, but it doesn't do too much for me. I think, if anything, it's not a bad item, but I just don't think he's so positioning reliant. It's true that it's nice to be able to position yourself optimally, but realistically, Blast of Lightning has a very long range, Lightning Storm's got global range, Chain Lightning has got a long range. He doesn't need to position himself that well, so really, it just doesn't make too much sense for me to be having this. Trixie there, quickly reconnecting, so we've obviously got this game becoming officially competitive with a pause, even though it is just a scrim. But again, I would rather just see him either building a straight-out support item or a tablet of command, which has many of the same advantages for him in that he can get himself into position with it, or he can get himself out of a sticky situation with it. And obviously one of the big helps of Portal Key is the fact that Thunderbringer is slow and vulnerable, and if he gets caught out, he can use Portal Key to get himself out. But tablet of command has many of those same advantages, but it also gives him some stats, and obviously you can use it to brutalize people who get out of position, which is really good, especially when you combine it with someone like Andromeda, who's got that great stun to A, keep them there, and B, that Void Rip to keep them there, and obviously got that Void Rip as well to just swat them even further out of position. So there's some synergy there. They've got a decent amount of slows here as well from Levent and Mind the Gap playing those that Ragnar and Slither. So really, for me at least, it would make more sense to pick up a tablet of command. But going through the rest of the items, got a Blessed Orb on Slither. Might be seeing him taking that Geometer's Bane semi-carry. We've seen Trixie play that.
And we actually do see Arachne going with the Blessed Orb as well. We might see what I think it's 5 Geometer's Banes by now.
Yeah, the Geometer's Bane's become ever so slightly ridiculous, I think.
If anyone by S2 is actually listening to this cast, nerf the damn item. I'm starting to get sick of it. Just give them more options.
To be honest, I think one of the big things about it is that it's not that it's a flat-out OP item per se, it's that it's really, really good for the heroes who get used as carries, because you think about it, the most picked carry heroes in HON are Chronos, Soulstealer, Forsaken Archer, Arachna, and lo and behold, it's a good item for all of them, If our top 4 played carries were Scout, Madman, Swiftblade, and, oh god, not Moon Queen, because she uses it as well. Help me, come on, tell me a Serikari. Phantom Lancer to pick someone completely random who hasn't been ported. If those were our top 4 played carries, we probably wouldn't see very much Geometer's Bane, because it's a bad item for them. But as it is, firstly, it is a good item, but I think one of the bigger problems as well is the people using it, because at the end of the day, it's a great item for heroes who are picked a lot, If we had different heroes, I don't think it'd be used as much, just because it's a good item, but the problem is really compounded by the fact that there isn't too much versatility in the carries we pick. And again, the other thing is that, it's not... since you get the same thing in Dota, because there was a lot of semi-carry play at the SWC, and they were making a lot of use of Geometer's Bane, but again, it was the usual suspect, range semi-carry heroes, people like Drow Ranger, not Broodmother, because I'm losing my mind. Ignore me, I said Broodmother, I'm an idiot. Again, God, Nevermore was using it a lot as well, so really it's just a product of the way that, it's just a product of the heroes who are used. It's not just that the item's OP, it's also that, the people using it happen to be really, really overused as heroes. Don't know about you, but
Yeah, fair enough.
I'd be interested in your opinion on it, but certainly I think people call for nerfs to the Geometer's Bane. Not sure it's right. I just feel there should be nerfs to people like maybe Soulstealer, possibly Arachna, definitely Forsaken Archer, so as to, because if they weren't used, Geometer's Bane just wouldn't be such a big feature.
Well, there's actually one thing I just caught and it's completely caught me off guard, and Arachne hasn't leveled Hardened Carapace or Web Shot beyond level 1. She has 4 attribute points, and this is actually pretty interesting for me, considering she did go against Trilane. Perhaps she was trying to pump stats.
Well, for me, that actually makes quite a lot of sense, because the big thing you get the web shot for is the cooldown reduction. A 2-second reduction on web shot is handy, but as it is, you can sort of follow up level fairly well with it.
Well, the slow increases as well.
Yeah, that's true, but once you've got your ultimate, and you've got Slither on your team, and you've got Andromeda on your team, and you've got actually there isn't a slow on Time Leap anymore, is there? Yeah, there is a slow on Time Leap.
Yeah.
She has a lot of slows on her team, is my point, so to me at least it makes quite a lot of sense, especially when you haven't got many items, to be just pumping those stat points to try and improve your damage and improve your survivability, because she doesn't need that web shot too much, she just wants that 1 point of it to give her an orb so she can use that harassment. And the other thing is, against a tri-lane, you aren't going to be playing aggressively as Arachne unless you have a death wish, so she doesn't need 4 levels in that web shot so that she can orb war people to death, because she's not going to be doing anything at that level. She wasn't going to be, so for me at least that's a pretty sensible building choice by Mind the Gap. I completely agree with it, and I think everyone else is built fairly standard, to be honest. We've got a bit of a departure. Well, I'm trying to remember. I can't remember. Yeah, we have got a departure from some of the Dota builds we've been seeing on Andromeda at ESWC, which I'm talking about far too much in this cast, but it really was a great tournament, even if eHome did absolutely brutalise everyone. Certainly for me at ESWC, it was a really, really big thing that we saw. We didn't actually see, if I recall correctly, Comet being leveled. I'm trying to remember what it is on Vengeful Spirit and failing, but Comet wasn't being leveled, it was Aurora and Dimensional Link that were being pumped. Not seeing that being used by this Andromeda, I'm not sure how I feel about it, because if you're playing a tri-lane and you've got Andromeda, it makes more sense.
In the tri-lane they're running, they definitely needed the more damage, so I can see why they leveled it.
Yeah, but on the other hand, Comet's stun, the actual stun component, is not level dependent. Comet's
true, but I don't think the mana cost is either.
Yeah, that's true, but you're only getting a little bit of extra damage every level, whereas if you level up Aurora, you're getting a significant chunk of mindless armor. And if you level up Dimensional Link, when auto attacks are doing quite a substantial proportion of your damage, which increases the more heroes you have, it just starts to make more and more sense to me. So I think I would rather have seen the Dota build of keeping Comet at 1, if I'm honest with you.
Well, you do have to consider that they were just against the one Madman, so perhaps if they were against, I don't know, 2 or 3 players, she could have bumped Aurora more. I don't know, perhaps that's the reasoning. I mean, when you do consider that it's just one, Comet might be just bursty enough, and especially Madman, who can just run away so easily.
Yeah, I guess you got a good point there. I suppose the other thing, you make a good point there actually. It's quite hard to rely on auto attacks against someone like Madman, so that's a good argument for you. I can't argue with that. Just front loading all the damage so that you can have a better chance of getting him. I can't fault you for that. Slither, fairly standard build these days. He's actually maxed Toxin Wards over Toxicity. Seen a lot of Slithers just skipping that or leaving it on the down low, just getting 1 point in it for the slow, because it's not a great...
We see Trixie getting caught out here though.
Yeah, Forsaken Archer horribly caught out by Andromeda and Thunderbringer, but they don't have enough burst. Thunderbringer using that portal key, he does actually get the kill, but initiation...
Did Andromeda just miss her swap?
I think Andromeda did swap, I'm not quite sure, but...
She swapped Thunderbringer.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Chronos gonna get a double kill with that ultimate there, so the Legion side again overextending. Trixie just getting out of position, and his team paying the price for it, but Levent and Kabat playing those two heroes have gone down for that trouble. Overpower has to pour out.
Fresh Bro did catch Slither and Andromeda here though.
Oh dear, this is not going to be at all good for Chronos. Or, on the other hand, it could just be bad
this
for
is awkward.
Chronos
this is for Chronos.
Threatening to 1v2 them both. Oh dear, this is not going to pop off at all. I think it was a buyback from Thunder... No, it wasn't a buyback. Thunderbringer, I'm talking rubbish.
He hid in the trees, basically.
But good job there by Hanny, coming back in, digging Overpower out of a bit of a hole there. The Legion side have problems here. I'm not sure they can really compete with... Oh, and they've conceded. That makes quite a lot of sense, to be honest. I mean, they have a really farmed Chronos to deal with. He's got that Jolter's Bane, picked up a Dancing Blade as well. I think they'd have struggled to deal with that. So definitely KDe, think, running the better tri-lane, ganking a bit better. MSI did have a bit of a resurgence, but I think Kronos just ran away with the game, and that's probably a fairly sensible choice to concede there.
And funnily enough, we ended the game with 4 geometers being completed.
Flipping it. I've just seen too much of that item, but yeah. Anyway, I'm Yorny Age from Game Replays. I've had Chris Sertis with me as my co-caster, and thanks for watching.